Are people who follow God called to be weak and passive? It's a great question. Let's find out. It's hard for some people to think of Christians as being as aggressive or calculating as a general or a CEO. They just see Christians as being weak and passive. But in 1 Samuel chapter 26 and 27, we see that David perfectly balances kindness and courage. Kindness and courage. In chapter 26, we see that David has the courage to slip into King Saul's camp and position himself in a place where he has the king's very life in his hand. And yet he demonstrates kindness by sparing his life. And then in chapter 27, you see David being so kind, he's willing to live with the enemy for the safety and the sake of his men and their families. And yet he's so courageous that he figures out how to systematically do away with his enemy, even while he's living with them and they're protecting him. And on top of that, he's gaining a greater and greater following of Israelites. You see, being a follower of God calls us to be both kind and courageous, just like David. And you need both. They're like two rails on a train track. Kindness without courage will lead you astray because it's just impotence. And courage without kindness will lead you astray just because it's dictatorial. You need both. It's what Jesus said in Matthew when he said we're to be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. So how are you doing today on balancing kindness and courage? Are you out of balance in one of those? If so, ask God to strengthen that area you're weakest in so you can live in this balance of kindness and courage this week. I hope you get to experience that, and we'll see you next week.